Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very well-heeled crowd, but obviously not a very obedient one. If you could please take your seats, I am going to start the program now so that we can get you out on time. First of all, I want to welcome you to a very special evening celebrating 100 years of the Department of Medicine at the University of Alberta. That's huge. My name is Leslie McDonald, and I am thrilled to be a part of this celebration as your MC. The theme of this event is a century of excellence in education, research, and clinical care. And if everyone could please sit and stop, and let's get on with the program. Thank you. Whoever clicked their glass, let's get some glasses clicking. Get this audience seated so we can get started. Thank you so much. I know it's hard because I know a lot of you haven't seen each other for quite some time, and you want to talk. And we're going to make sure that you get lots of time in the program to talk amongst yourselves. I mentioned the theme of this event is a century of excellence in education, research, and clinical care. And there are, as you can just imagine, there are so many wonderful stories and milestones, and this is going to be a fairly short event. But I'm really hoping that by the end of this evening, you're going to get a sense of what a century of excellence means. To begin with, earlier today, many of you attended a day of discovery. I heard it was amazing. It was held at the campus. It featured speakers and panels and exhibits, and it delved into the 14 divisions in the department and what that's looked like over 100 years of growth. So this evening, we're just going to touch on some of the broader milestones of the past, and then we're going to look at what's in store for the future. And it is a story marked by inspiration, progress, and achievement. I think you're going to feel very proud by the time this program's over. Now, this is also an evening to celebrate the people who are here, who have been significant, who are here, who have shaped and have been significant in shaping the Department of Medicine, many of you have come from across the country to be here. We're also going to keep this program tight, as I mentioned, so that you have more time to connect at dinner and at the end of the program to catch up with colleagues past and present. And we have a very special surprise at the end of the program that I know you're going to want to stick around for. But first, helping us to mark the significance of this celebration is a special guest. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of Her Honor, the Honorable Salma Lakhani, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, and His Honor, Dr. Zahir Lakhani. I'd also like to acknowledge that Dr. Zahir Lakhani is one of ours. He is a clinical professor at the University of Alberta Department of Medicine in the Division of Cardiology. So welcome to you both. We're so delighted to have you here. What an honor. And you may now sit. So we're going to begin our formal program with a traditional Indigenous song and dance. It is a powerful celebration, often shared in community gatherings, marking significant moments with spirit, unity, and respect. Please welcome Dancing Cree as they lead us into an unforgettable evening. Dancing Cree. Thank you so much for that wonderful opening. And there is significance to having them here and to this particular opening from a university perspective. So it's now my honor to invite Dr. John Meddings to the stage. He's a graduate of our medical school. He was chair, as many of you know, of the Department of Medicine until 2009, finishing his career as Dean of the Cummings School of Medicine in Calgary. Dr. Meddings.
So thank you, Leslie. And I'd like to say good evening to everyone. It's actually a pleasure to be back in Edmonton and to talk to such a distinguished group here. So congratulations to the Department of Medicine on reaching 100 years. It's an incredible milestone, and it speaks volumes about the lasting impact of what the people of this department have done. So I'd also like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Dancing Cree for this incredible opening and enriching our event with your presence. That performance not only adds a meaningful cultural dimension, but it also serves as an essential reminder of the significance of honoring Indigenous histories and traditions. And I'd like to thank you very much for sharing your gifts. And so before we begin, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we're located on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, the Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others, whose histories, languages, and cultures continue to enrich our community. So as some of you know here, I like to listen to music. And recently, I was listening to songs from an artist that I very much admire, an old artist, old like me. He had an album that made me think of this evening, and it was an evening of songs dedicated to the musicians that he had grown up listening to, those who had shaped his own life, and those whose footsteps he now walked in. And not surprisingly, this album was called Footsteps. I came to Edmonton, I returned to Edmonton in 2004, and I was absolutely terrified, I have to tell you, to come to this department. I was terrified to be walking in the footsteps of people I thought of as demigods of medicine. Paul Armstrong sitting over here, Tom Mary. How could I ever aspire to do what they had so effortlessly done? And what I learned was that when you walk in the footsteps of others, the path is always easier. We all do it. So let's take a moment to step back to 1924, 100 years ago. Edmonton was a city on the rise then. It had a population that soared from 30,000 in 1911 to almost 80,000 in 1924. It was thanks to the oil boom that shaped the city's economic landscape, and immigrants flocked to here. However, as Edmonton grew, it did so on the traditional lands of Indigenous peoples, whose presence here predates our own. They have lived, celebrated, and cared for this land long before the city we know today took shape. We walk in their footsteps. So when we acknowledge the land, we're doing more than just reciting history. We're showing respect for the past and the people who have stewarded this place for generations. And it should remind us that we're all part of a larger, ongoing story, one that includes many cultures, many voices. We walk in the footsteps of many. So as we reflect on this evening's significance, let's carry that awareness forward, mindful of the past, but shaping the future together. So thank you all for being here. It is an utter pleasure to see so many familiar faces. Thank you.
Dr. Meddings, thank you so much for that. I think that was just the perfect introduction for this evening. And we're going to let you go off the stage now. Thank you so much for that. Dancing Cree. Now, we have a number of special guests to help us celebrate this evening, and I know I've seen pretty much all of you in this room are really special. What a fantastic crowd here tonight. I know so many faces. As I just mentioned, we are deeply privileged to welcome Her Honor Salma Lakhani and His Honor Dr. Zahir Lakhani. But there are a few other dignitaries we'd like to formally acknowledge as well. I'm going to ask that when I call out your name, if you'll stand. I know it's awkward, but people like to see where you are in the room and maybe come up and talk to you a bit afterwards. And I'm going to ask the audience to hold your applause so that we can do this in a timely fashion. We're going to begin by welcoming University of Alberta President Bill Flanagan and his husband, Saffron Shree. Dr. Verna Yu, the University Provost and Vice President of Academic, and the university's Chancellor, Nizar Samji. We are honored to have Dr. Brenda Hemmelgarn, who is the Dean and Vice Provost of the College of Health Sciences and the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry. And from the Department of Medicine, we welcome Chair and Clinical Department Head, Dr. Narmin Kassam. Apologies about the names. Finally, we're delighted to acknowledge some distinguished former chairs of the Department of Medicine, Dr. Paul Armstrong, Dr. Barbara Bellerman, and of course, Dr. John Meddings, each of whom has left a lasting legacy that we celebrate tonight. Thank you to each of you for your leadership and your dedication. Okay. Now, Edmonton Mayor Amarjeet Sohi sends his regrets that he's unable to attend this evening, but he has sent us greetings from the city. So I'd like to invite our Chancellor Samji, along with the Department of Medicine Chair, Dr. Kassam, to the podium to present the official greeting.
Before I get on to the formal notes that I'm supposed to say, I just want to say it's a privilege to be here with all of you. In this fast-paced world that we live in, we sometimes forget to celebrate and forget to acknowledge the history and what has brought us here together. So to all the organizers, this is a tremendous event and a tremendous opportunity to salute all of those who have been here before us and their contributions. So, it is my pleasure to present to Dr. Kassam the official proclamation. The city recognizes the University of Alberta Department of Medicine for, and I quote, a century of excellence in education, research, and clinical care. Congratulations on your 100th anniversary.
Nice touch and very, very well deserved. Thank you very much. Well, we have, as I mentioned, a lot to cover in a very short period of time this evening. So you'll notice that they've started serving the salads, and we're going to encourage you to start your salads when they come to your table. Now, all the people that we've just acknowledged, and so many more in this room, as well as those who are no longer with us, have been integral in building the legacy of the Department of Medicine. So I'm going to ask you to please draw your attention to the big screens as we touch on the story of a century of excellence.
A century of vision, progress, and achievement. The Department of Medicine's 100th year anniversary is a milestone in all our lives, a solid foundation for our current successes, and a light that shows the way forward to the future.
This is the 100-year anniversary. It started in 1924. And I think that if you can look at that 100 years from what Edmonton was at that time to today's Department of Medicine, a big, broad, social, scientific product. It's quite extraordinary.
We're at a time in our lives where we're going to see the next phase in medicine. I really believe that we're on the edge of seeing new therapies that will bring tremendous advances.
It's just amazing when you look, we say 100 years, right? And that's all due to the endless dedication of all of the staff, all of the physicians, all of the researchers, all the professors, all the administrators, everyone who has contributed to this real milestone of 100 years.
We're certainly a Canadian leader in education, a world leader in research as well. I'm very proud of being part of the department and the great people that we have had in the department and still have in the department.
There's a great book called Built to Last that describes the 50 companies that have lasted 50 years, and the department has lasted 100 years. It's a tribute to their staying power, to their importance, to essentially the lifeblood of academic medicine.
It's a measurement to hopefully identify places where we can do better. We need to ensure that we have policies and procedures to deal with the human aspects of humans working together, because we're only going to move forward as teams.
100 years is a good milestone. Should be extremely proud of what the department has done. We need to make sure that it'll be well prepared to continue with our mission. We need to prepare the department for the future.
The 100th anniversary is a milestone on the way to the 200th one, and it does set the tone for what needs to be done in the next century. And the department is really well placed to really not only overcome those, but continue to go forward as it has in the previous 100 years.
I think it is critically important for all of us to celebrate success and see where this department has come from and where it may be going in the future. This is a great department that has done amazing things.
100 years is actually quite young. I see the incredible developments that have happened because of the work that people are doing. I see more and more and more advances, and I think we need to embrace those and go into the future eyes wide open and with a lot of courage and excitement.
So that's just a great beginning and an overview to 100 years of the Department of Medicine. And as we continue to celebrate this milestone, we are honored to welcome a distinguished leader who's been instrumental in shaping the future of our university. Born and raised in Alberta, he's been recognized for his transformative and entrepreneurial leadership throughout his career. At the University of Alberta, this includes his work to create an entirely new university-wide operating model. Under his leadership, the university is charting a bold path forward, guided by a 10-year strategic plan that includes ambitious enrollment growth and greater research impact. Please join me in welcoming President Bill Flanagan.
Well, thank you, Leslie, and good evening and welcome, everyone. And a welcome to her honor and his honor, and also a warm welcome to our Chancellor, Provost, and all of our distinguished guests, friends, and colleagues. Thank you for joining us on this evening to celebrate the 100th year milestone of the Department of Medicine. 100 years, and what an incredible journey it has been. From the beginning, the University of Alberta Department of Medicine has been a beacon of excellence, a cornerstone of healthcare and education, an inspiring, groundbreaking research, compassionate care, and world-changing innovations. It has been driven always by a commitment to improving lives, and it began with visionary thinkers like Dr. James Collip, whose groundbreaking research was pivotal in the discovery of insulin, a discovery that continues to save and transform lives around the world. And as the department grew, so did its impact in Western Canada. Aspiring physicians no longer needed to travel to distant cities like Toronto or Montreal to complete their training. Instead, they were able to complete their training right here at Strathcona Hospital, now known as University Hospital. And through the decades, physicians, researchers, students, staff, and alumni have exemplified a commitment to improving lives and driving innovation. And while they have faced and overcome many challenges, they have always emerged stronger and more resilient. And the tremendous contributions include being on the forefront of tuberculosis treatment and education, leading the first heart transplant in Western Canada in 1985, advancing therapies for MS and igniting hope for a future cure, providing critical support and leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic, continuing to push the boundaries of diabetes research, and collaborating across disciplines to explore new frontiers. We do this in many ways, such as using artificial intelligence to improve health outcomes and quality of life, including faster stroke diagnoses and treatment and the development of robotic limbs. Our DNA is impact, and our commitment to transcending boundaries continues. Health and well-being is one of the University of Alberta's core research pillars. And as we look to the next century, we remain committed to growing our far-reaching and positive impact. We will nurture and mentor the next generation of forward-thinking researchers and health professionals. We will prepare them to address the challenges of tomorrow with compassion, rigor, and innovation. So tonight, we celebrate an incredible legacy with great pride. Many of you in this room today helped to contribute to this journey. Your dedication, discoveries, and commitment have made tonight's celebration possible. The future is filled with hope and excitement and much more to achieve and many more lives to touch. So thank you for your contributions and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Well, that was a perfect segue as we move into our next section. Thank you so much, President Flanagan. The dedication and expertise of many individuals, as he mentioned, has propelled the Department of Medicine to new heights, and people continue to influence the future of medicine in this department. In this next short video, we're going to hear from just a few of those who've made significant contributions to their fields. Their work was inspired and supported by their time in the Department of Medicine.
In 1924, emerging from the devastation of the First World War and the global flu pandemic, people were facing the future with optimism and hope. In medicine, millions of people were given hope with the Nobel Prize-winning discoveries of insulin in 1923 and the electrocardiogram in 1924. A $500,000 Rockefeller grant to the University of Alberta for medical training fueled optimism. In 1924, the Department of Medicine was founded, with McGill-trained neurologist Dr. Egerton Pope as its head. The hope and optimism that sparked the beginnings of the Department of Medicine have, over the past century, created a powerhouse of achievement, with a legacy of pioneering inspiration and international recognition.
Garnet King, he was a visionary person. He was one of the first person to practice critical care medicine in Canada. He was the first one to introduce the technical bronchoscopy in Canada.
Well, my proudest achievements have been the discovery of a first oral antivirals that we could use for the treatment of hepatitis B. And working with Dr. Kniedemann and Mercer, we came up with an animal model for hepatitis C. Establishing the Li Ka-shing Institute of Virology, we managed to bring in, as a Canada Excellence Chair, Dr. Michael Houghton. He was named one of the 3 winners of the Nobel Prize in 2020.
I helped foster the emergence of this place as a multi-organ transplant center. We established a clinical trial center here and participated a lot in the international studies to apply new knowledge to patients. But the centerpiece of it all was the clinical program. Always, we were aiming for excellence at improving transplant survival for all of these patients who needed us, and also teaching the world the lessons that we learned.
During my time as chair, and subsequently, I had the opportunity to found the Canadian Vigor Centre, an academic research organization that the university recognized as a center. We did randomized clinical trials, not only across this country, but in relationship to partners in 41 countries around the world. The University of Alberta flag and the Vigor Centre and what we've been able to do in terms of research and collaboration has been an exciting time, all from the position of being a University of Alberta faculty.
The University of Alberta put that package together to establish the Alberta Asthma Centre, but more broadly in lung disease and in inflammation. Over time, the Asthma Centre focused much more on patient education, very strong pediatric education programs for children, randomized controlled trials of those education programs in schools in Edmonton, Ontario, and Manitoba. And we were very proud it became recognized by CDC in Atlanta, Georgia, as one of the evidence-based education programs for children in asthma. And it was also recognized by World Health Association as a high-quality asthma education program for children.
Well, our next speaker is a visionary who really needs no introduction. Dr. Verna Yu is Provost and Vice President Academic at the University of Alberta, but she's also former CEO of Alberta Health Services. Dr. Yu is a proud U of A alumna, having completed her undergraduate degree, medical school, and residency here. She completed her fellowship in pediatric nephrology at Harvard University. A professor of pediatrics, she has, over 2 decades, held several leadership roles in the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, including as interim dean. She is well respected for her exceptional servant leadership philosophy. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Dr. Verna Yu.
Well, it's wonderful to see everyone and to see so many familiar faces. It's much like homecoming. I'm very honored to be here tonight, and I'm also very honored to be speaking on behalf of the university. And as you've heard from President Flanagan, we've been doing a lot of strategic planning for the university, and we wouldn't be able to do this without the contributions of key faculties and the largest department that we have in the university, which is the Department of Medicine. When I think back to my own training, I have to say if it wasn't for the cute children, I would have done internal medicine. I remember doing my pulmonary rotation under Brian Spruill, who gave me some really good advice. He said, Verna, you're a very good student intern, but you do things too fast. And I don't think I listened to him too much, but he was such an incredible preceptor. I remember being in morbid fear of doing a presentation of miliary TB with Frank Herbert. He was such a legend, and somebody who I felt I was quite nervous about when I presented my case. And then when I did my internship at the CAMSL, having incredible preceptors like Dr. Sahir Lakhani and Dr. Chuck Harley, really, I don't know why I didn't do an internal medicine. When I came back from my pediatric nephrology fellowship, pediatric nephrology is very much embedded with adult nephrology. And in fact, we do all the rounds, got to know Dr. Buzz Edwards really well because he'd go to every round. And when I remember actually having the privilege of giving medicine grand rounds, it was the turn for nephrology, and I think Phil Howard, you were the divisional director at that time, and you were so generous and said, Verna, why don't you do medicine grand rounds? And Dr. Armstrong was the chair at that time. I didn't know Dr. Armstrong. It was a little bit intimidating to do medicine grand rounds, but we presented very interesting cases on Takayasu's arteritis. And you know, when I look at all the incredible chairs, the incredible legacy of the leadership, all the divisional directors, all the faculty members that make up the department, it really is no surprise that you're here at 100 years with all the incredible accomplishments that you've done together. Albertans are in such a better place because of your incredible dedication to teaching, to research, discovery, innovation, and clinical care. And I won't be here to look forward to the next 100 years, but I know that Albertans will be in such even better place a century from now. So congratulations to all of you.
Now I'm going to put a little personal note in here because Dr. Verna Yu was one of my women of vision, and I had the honor of getting to know her story when we did a profile on her in 2019. And people always say to me, who's your favorite woman of vision? And I have to admit, I'm sorry, but you're one of the first people that comes to mind when people ask me. I'm really inspired by you, so congrats, thank you. And that brings us to the story of visionary and inspirational women. The University of Alberta Faculty of Medicine has become a place that fosters pioneering women, something we're going to talk more about a little bit later in our program. In fact, the department has fostered many innovations in medicine, so once again, please watch the big screens.
At the end of the war, Alberta medical graduates returned home from armed service. Many wanted to pursue specialised training. And in the 1950s, the Department of Medicine created the first graduate clinical training program. In the post-war decades, the quest for knowledge was enabled by new technologies, therapies, and specialization. In the Department of Medicine, 10 divisions in adult medicine were created. 2 Canadian medical firsts occurred at the University of Alberta Hospital in the 1960s. The first artificial kidney or hemodialysis procedure in 1962, and the first cadaver kidney transplant in 1967. The establishment of the Alberta Heritage Foundation for Medical Research in 1979 led to a rapid growth in the department's research capacity.
4 women in my graduating class of 63, and there had been 4 in my mother's class of 33, so over 30 years, no change. But after 63, the numbers of women increased very rapidly. By the early 90s, I think, at least 50%, and I think probably more now.
Prior to the AMHSP, the Academic Medicine Health Services Program, the Department of Medicine had what we call a practice plan, more of a partnership set up among the physicians within the department to share income duties, and that was the precursor really to the AMHSP. I remember speaking as a new faculty member in favor of that, then came to a vote as to whether people would create this and be part of it.
We've had several advantages in Alberta. The first would have been AHFMR, that started in the 1980s. The second has been the evolution of alternative funding plans so that we could bring clinician scientists and clinician educators to Alberta in a way that almost no other province could.
I worked at the time with the program director, and I was very fortunate to be able to actually sort of build this role from the ground up. They kind of gave me a lot of runway and leeway, and that's how this position and the current structure of our Office of Medical Education actually came about. At least half or 3/4 of the Department of Medicine are actually previous residents in the program. It's so rewarding when you look out and you see all the staff, and almost all of them are previous residents.
Well, staff here are just about ready to serve dinner. But before we break, I'd like to thank that's a little slip, Edmonton Convention Centre in advance for what I know is going to be a great meal if the salad's any indication. Thank you so much to the Conference Centre in advance. We'd also like to give a shout out to Dr. Stephanie Liu and Dr. Ling Ling, the founders of Dr. Mum Skincare line. Yeah, I knew you guys were going to be vocal. They included some of their products in swag gift pads that were handed out to the first 100 people who arrived this evening. So the early bird definitely got the worm. And now dinner. Please enjoy the food and the company at your table, and we're going to be back for the second half of the program, looking ahead to the future in 45 minutes, and I will give you a 5 minutes heads up. Hopefully that wasn't someone's dinner. See you soon. Okay, everyone, I have a special request. Would our glass clinkers please clink away so we can get started with the program? Clink, clink, clink. I'm going to remember this for future events. Thank you very much for sitting down. I just love, you know, one of the things that I really missed about live events during COVID was the buzz in the room. And there's a wonderful buzz here tonight because a lot of you haven't seen each other for quite some time, or maybe you don't get to see each other because you're in different departments. And even though I'm not technically a part of it, it's really heartwarming to see. It's one of my favorite things. Speaking of buzz, this event was made possible in part by the generous support of the AM Buzz Awards, W.F. Brown, and the E. Gardner King Endowment Funds in recognition of 3 exceptional leaders in the Department of Medicine. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Yay. Well, funding is also an important component of the work done by the Department of Medicine. It allows our doctors to teach and inspire future generations in their academic roles, while those doctors are also supported in their research projects, many that have global impacts. One example of that is the Alberta Project. So I'm going to ask you to please pay attention again to the big screens.
Humans can live to be 120, can also reach an age of 100 without any age-related diseases, for as long as they have the right lifestyle, as we know from the famous 7 blue zones. As of 2023, aging has an official disease designation by the WHO. This means that drugs and diagnostics can now be developed to attack and track aging as a specific disease, replacing the unregulated supplements and tests currently used. The developments would be cataclysmic in the healthcare industry, and we need to be a part of this next revolution in medicine. Scientists have shown reversal of aging in animal models. The same thing may happen in humans. Longevity biomarkers and diagnostics are needed to assess the effects of lifestyle interventions and emerging longevity drugs. AI analysis of unbiased epigenomic and proteomics has led to predictors of longevity and age-related diseases named age clocks, distinguishing fast from slow-aging humans. Age clocks measure biological age and predict survival and age-related diseases, cardiovascular, lung, liver, kidney disease or diabetes, osteoporosis, cancer, and dementia, better than traditional biomarkers. It is unknown whether these clocks are reversible because of lack of prospective studies. The Alberta Project is a longitudinal, interventional longevity study of 10,000 Albertans aged 40 to 60 that will correlate blood, genomic, proteomic, and epigenomic predictors of longevity and age-related diseases, age clocks, with clinical and lifestyle phenotypes in response to lifestyle interventions through First in Canada longevity clinics. The aim is to show that age clocks are reversible by lifestyle interventions or longevity drugs. After economic analysis and cross-validation with other large longevity cohorts, the ultimate goal is to incorporate age clocks and longevity clinics into standard clinical practice.
Yeah, that is exciting. Can you imagine what age clocks could do for some of us to stick around till the 150th anniversary? Anyhow, I am now delighted to introduce the University of Alberta's College of Health Science Services Vice Provost and Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry Dean, Dr. Brenda Hemmelgarn. Dr. Brenda Hemmelgarn became Dean of the Faculty in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, and under her leadership, the faculty completed and is now implementing its strategic plan. Vision 2025 is a 5-year roadmap for the future with a new inclusive vision of health and wellness. Dr. Hemmelgarn has served for more than 35 years in various roles across healthcare, academia, and administration. She is an epidemiologist, clinical research, and practicing nephrologist, has published more than 500 articles and garnered millions in research funding. That's quite a feat. Dr. Hemmelgarn established the Alberta Kidney Disease Network and is a founding member and co-team lead of the Interdisciplinary Chronic Disease Collaboration. So please, a warm welcome for Dr. Brenda Hemmelgarn.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. And it's my great pleasure to be here with you and to welcome you on behalf of the entire Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry and the College of Health Sciences. I was so inspired this morning by the panel and all the displays. And so we had a great opportunity to celebrate throughout the day. And tonight we continue that celebration, marking a major milestone, 100 years, and it's not often in our careers, it's probably going to be the only time in mine for sure, that we're going to be able to celebrate like that. Before I begin, I just want to take a moment again to welcome and thank some of our special guests this evening. We've heard from University President and Vice Chancellor Bill Flanagan and Dr. Verna Yu, Provost and Vice President Academic. So please join me again in thanking them once again for being here with us tonight. And I'd also like to thank Her Honor, Lieutenant Governor Salma Lakhani, for taking the time in her busy schedule to help us mark this occasion, as well as to Chancellor Nizar Somji. Thank you to you both for being here. As I mentioned, I was so inspired by the panel of chairs this morning. Dr. Paul Armstrong, Dr. John Meddings, Dr. Barbara Bellarmine, and Dr. Tom Mary. And as I was listening to them this morning, there was actually 3 themes that I wanted to reiterate that I thought were so important that they spoke about today. And the first theme was just the importance of people. And Dr. Meddings spoke about that in his recruitment here to the University of Alberta, that special phone call that he got from Lauren Tyrell, and how he was inspired by the people here. And that just reminded me of my journey as well, and the phone calls and the encouragement that I got when I was considering this position, and the warm welcome that I had. And the reason that I came to the U of A, and I always say this, is because of the people. It's because of the people that are here this evening and the people that have supported me and that have been here throughout the journey. Such a dedicated group of people. And it's because of the people here that I renewed for a second term. So I want to thank the people. The second theme that I heard this morning, and we heard a bit about it in some of the presentations as well, is the great significance and impact of the academic ARP and the AMHSP, as it's now called, and how that actually was the cornerstone of forming the Department of Medicine, and the importance that it had, the ability that it allowed the individuals, and Dr. Bellarmine said this so nicely, to be able to focus their time on the education and research activities that have truly made this department such an outstanding department. So the importance of the ARP, and I'm really excited to let you know that we've actually expanded the AIM-HSP to other departments as well, and it will be the cornerstone of other departments in the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry. And the third theme that I heard this morning was just the importance of celebration and recognition. And that's what this event is all about. Narman said it this morning, it's about having a big, good party, a party that is so important for the Department of Medicine. And Dr. Bellarmine spoke about this morning as well, and it reminded us of that in March 2020 when we were all getting ready to celebrate her on March the 13th. I remember her calling me on March the 11th and saying, Brenda, I think we're going to have to cancel that celebration. I said, Barbara, you can't, it's your party. And she said, Brenda, there are going to be over 100 physicians in a room and COVID is just around the corner. So she canceled the party, but she's here tonight, and Barbara, this one's for you. I'd be remiss not to mention COVID and the great impact that it had on our university and our province and around the globe, actually. And what really impressed me, and the greatest example during my tenure, is the incredible impact made by the members of the Department of Medicine, from the divisions of infectious diseases, pulmonary medicine, general internal medicine, in fact, every division that contributed and worked tirelessly throughout the pandemic. Truly inspiring and rising to the challenge in ways that really showcase the strength and dedication of the entire department. I want to end by recognizing and thanking Dr. Narman Kassam for her incredible leadership. She's following a long line of illustrious chairs, as we heard today, and I'm so grateful for all that she's done for the department. Her dedication to education, clinical care, and research is unparalleled. She cares deeply about the department and each and every faculty member, student, and staff member, and that makes her the incredible leader that she is. And I've never seen anyone more efficient. In fact, today in the Bernard Snell in the lobby, you could get your flu shot. Only Narman would arrange that. It's impossible to summarize a century's worth of success, and it's equally impossible to predict the next 100 years. But the one thing I know is that this department will continue to make us all proud with the global reach of its work. So to all of you here tonight, continue to celebrate. Whether the Department of Medicine is a proud memory for you or you are part of today's staff, you have so much to be proud of. So thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
That's such a great segue to the next segment. Change is inevitable. We all know that from personal and professional experience. Change often brings about incredible challenges, but it can also present opportunities for innovation. And that's where the past, this past, gives us a glimpse of the future and signals an exciting future for the U of A's Department of Medicine. So please bring your attention one final time to your big screens.
In the 1990s, healthcare reforms led to hospital and university cutbacks. But the creation of the Alternative Funding Plan with the Government of Alberta gave the department stability and opened the door to renewed recruitment.
The idea was, well, we needed to find a way to get the money to develop a robust academic department and an alternative funding plan, wherein the department members are funded for a day or two per week for their academic activities. That was a new concept in Alberta. Over the 5 years, over 75 new academic faculty were recruited. The number of grants that were submitted for funding increased, as did the number of teaching hours and the number of publications. Those are the objective measures.
In the early 2000s, medical scholarship flourished in all areas of academic medicine. By 2016, funding agency changes led to funding uncertainty. The new Academic Alternative Relationship Plan cushioned the department from the worst of the economic punches. Innovation persevered with the launch of quality improvement initiatives in clinical care and the transition of training programs to competence by design. In 2020, COVID-19 brought the world to a halt, but not in hospital wards. Department members gave their all to clinical care during the pandemic, and through it all, they participated fully in the implementation of Connect Care, the provincial electronic medical system in Alberta hospitals.
Paul Armstrong said to me that I should go and research career development and present something to the department. After that, we had a career development program, and part of that was a mentorship program. Gender equity was coming on the horizon as an issue, and so it was important that we had women who could mentor women to progress in their career, and that's how it started.
There was a more general curricular reform that took place in the early 2000s led by David Cook, and I was a major part of that. And we were given the opportunity under Lauren Terrell, who was dean at that time, to make that the fundamental basis of the curriculum for the first 2 years of medical school. So we redesigned the curriculum based upon what we'd learned from the courses that I was piloting in the years just before that.
When the pandemic came, I think we were pretty ready to be able to go virtual for many, many things. That's one thing I really noticed, is how much our work has been shaped by the changes in the electronic systems. The other thing that is changing quite dramatically is a shift from more biological research to applied healthcare research. It's become a very, very important component of what a Department of Medicine does. And then finally, the other thing I really noticed was the increasing influence that women were having in the Department of Medicine.
In 2024, the department is embracing its second century. Uncertainties exist as they always have, but the achievements of the Department of Medicine are a strong foundation for the possibilities of the future, and an inspiration for the way ahead.
It's a really good way to introduce our final speaker this evening, Dr. Narmin Kassam. She is chair and clinical head of the Department of Medicine, and that's the largest department in the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry, and the second largest clinical department with Alberta Health Services in the Edmonton zone. Dr. Kassam is a U of A medical school graduate and has held several leadership roles within the department, including Director of the Division of General Internal Medicine and Deputy Department Head. Dr. Kassam was appointed to her present role in 2020 at the start of the pandemic, steadily guiding the department through the healthcare chaos of COVID-19 and its aftermath, and during the implementation of Connect Care. So please give a very warm welcome to Dr. Narmin Kassam.
Wow, I didn't realize, I knew, how amazing our department is in terms of their accomplishments, but I didn't realize how well we cleaned up. You folks look amazing. Thank you. So good evening, everyone, and welcome our distinguished guests. Her Honor, the Honorable Salma Lakhani, Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, and His Honor, and our beloved department member, Dr. Zahir Lakhani, President Bill Flanagan, Dr. Verna Yu, Chancellor Nizar Somji, Dr. Brenda Hamelgarn, our distinguished past chairs who have graced us with their presence from all parts of the country, Drs. Paul Armstrong, John Meddings, and Barbara Ballerman, Our illustrious Professor Emeriti, I was trying to make my way there. I know they're there somewhere, so welcome to you all. And many of you I know have traveled from far away, so welcome. And of course, our beloved Department of Medicine members, families, and friends. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening as we celebrate this once-in-a-lifetime Centurion milestone and the remarkable achievements of our Department of Medicine. As we heard repeatedly throughout the day and tonight isn't just about looking back at our incredible legacy. It's a tribute to the people who have made it all possible, the mentors, the trailblazers, and our dedicated colleagues who have built and shaped this department over the past 100 years. I am so deeply humbled and privileged to serve as the chair of this remarkable department, especially as we commemorate this significant milestone. So my own journey, as you all know, as a U of A alumna, from a bachelor's degree to my medical degree to residency training to nearly 3-decade career, has been guided by the very people that I hope to honor tonight. The power of mentorship has been a constant force in creating our legacy within this department. My career, like many of yours, was shaped by mentors who saw potential and offered guidance when maybe we didn't always see it even in ourselves. People like Dr. Paul Armstrong, who invested in me and continually inspires me and pushes me to do better. Our fearless and outstanding women leaders, many of whom you've heard from tonight, either in person or on the video. Dr. Verna Yu, one of my very first mentors as my senior resident. Dr. Ann Fanning, who's there somewhere. Dr. Lil Medinsky, who were always my champions and my supporters. Of course, Dr. Brenda Hamelgarn, who continues to be a source of inspiration. And Dr. Barbara Ballerman, who's always been there to role model, guide, and support. Mentorship is truly at the heart of this department, supporting recruitment, education, research, personal and professional development. The spirit of giving back is really what is strong in our department, and it enriches our culture. You just have to look around our various divisions and know that there are so many out there that have so much invested in making sure that our young people continue to succeed. And then there are the trailblazers. As was touched on this morning and in the various videos, a fundamental part of our story that cannot go unnoticed or unmentioned is the funding support that was developed under the visionary leadership of Drs. Tom Mary and Dr. John Meddings. You've all heard lots and lots about our academic medicine health services plan. This AMHSP empowered us to recruit top talent, grow our research, develop educational innovations, and enhance patient care. It's a crucial pillar that supports our academic mission, helps us thrive, and is the envy of academic medicine departments across the country. So thank you to those trailblazing leaders. Today is also bittersweet. We are reminded, and we spoke a lot about this today, of leaders and mentors who have left indelible marks on our department that have laid the foundation for our successes and really whose backs we all lead from and were mentioned in repeated presentations today. Beloved people like Dr. Garner King, and I know the Department of Critical Care is here and remembers him well. Dr. Buzz Edwards, whose daughter Marianne I know is here somewhere, and I haven't quite made it to that table yet. Dr. Jody Ginsburg, who I know inspires our Division of Endocrinology. And of course, Dr. Richard Fedorak, and there's a large contingent here that has been very much touched on by them. Dr. Mitu Majumdar, I'm delighted that his daughter was here to join us, or was able to join us. I haven't seen her yet, but I know she's out there somewhere. Dr. George Goldsand, and I know his wife is also here somewhere, so hopefully I'll get a chance to see you. And of course, Dr. Jeff Taylor, who was a stalwart member of our Division of Infectious Diseases. And finally, Mr. Chuck Morrison, who left such an indelible mark on our administrative team. And these are just to name a few. Although these remarkable individuals are no longer with us, I know that their legacies live on in our work. Because of them, we are inspired to push forward, carrying their vision and their passion into the future. As we heard today from our 14 divisions during our Day of Discovery presentations, our department's achievements are rooted in profound dedication to advancing medical innovations that were brought here for the very first time over the past 100 years: research, education, and patient care. Every single individual here across all the care pillars contributes to the strength and success of our department. And just to reiterate again, it's all about our people. The legacy we celebrate tonight isn't just about the milestone, it's about the people. Many of those people are here tonight celebrating with us. Researchers like Drs. Lauren Terrell and Phil Halloran, whose endless curiosity and innovative spirit have led to advancements that improve lives and have put our department on the global map. I heard a really interesting anecdote the other night where somebody said to me they were considering coming to Edmonton to practice as a transplant nephrologist, and a colleague in Europe said to them, "Oh, Edmonton, that is the place of the Edmonton Oilers and Phil Halloran." So you're equal to the Oilers, Dr. Halloran. And then, of course, there's the outstanding frontline physicians, many of whom are in the room here. Dr. T.K. Lee out there somewhere, Dr. Bob Bailey, who's a legend, Dr. Ray Yulin, who was able to join us, and all who've dedicated their lives to patient care. And then, of course, you got to hear from our administrative staff, people like Ms. Doris Kurtz, who supports us through every challenge. These are the people that define the Department of Medicine. Never was this more evident than what you heard about in these videos and what Dr. Hamelgarn kindly touched on than over the past 4 years during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, as Barbara mentioned this morning, I had the dubious distinction of taking over the chair 2 weeks after the pandemic was declared. And yes, Vijay, to answer your question, the job was offered to me in January of 2020, and the pandemic hit March 11th, of course, 2020. But I should have known, I should have been reading about it. But having come through all of that, I honestly can say I could not be more proud of how our department, how all of you rapidly came together to implement COVID units very quickly, deliver outstanding frontline care to the vast majority of admitted COVID patients across this entire zone. This was all, And this was all happening while we were discovering, developing, and disseminating up-to-date knowledge and policies in those early days when very little was known and information was coming at us at rapid speed. Our educators led the way in innovating and developing novel tools to develop outstanding medical education virtually and in whatever format we had to in order to engage our learners. And our researchers seized the opportunities the pandemic presented with agility, determination, and ingenuity, securing funding, historic funding, to study and disseminate the full impact of this novel virus. So really proud of what this department accomplished over the past 4 years. And as Brenda said, yes, Barbara, you didn't have your party 4 years ago, but it's a pretty kick-ass party tonight, so. So speaking about the pandemic response is actually a great reminder for me to call out a few groups that don't get enough recognition on a regular basis. So first of all, I want to take this opportunity to recognize and thank the more than 400 clinical, academic faculty members of our Department of Medicine. These individuals go well above and beyond, not only in providing outstanding patient care, but to train our next generation of physicians. They dedicate themselves to teaching, not because it's required, but because they see it as their honorable duty. Without your contributions, our achievements in education would not be possible. So thank you. So I think one of the commonest questions I get asked in this position, and I'm sure my predecessors did as well, is how do you run the largest academic department in our institution? Well, the answer is pretty simple, I don't. It's all due to the hard work of the best leadership team on campus, and that includes our associate chairs, Dr. Evangelos Mikalakis, Dr. Vijay Daniels, Dr. Jacques Romney, without whom none of this would be possible, our program leads who lead the various programs, and of course, our outstanding, heroic 14 division directors and section chiefs. So about six or 8 months ago, I think it was, we went to our division directors and said, you know, we need to do this. This is a big event, it's a big celebration, and oh, by the way, this is what we're asking you to do. Put together a 10-minute presentations, you know, some displays out in the foyer and so on, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. And I have to say, today just blew my mind. I am so proud of the work you have all done, and thank you so much. And then, of course, there's our senior management team, the 13th floor, the dreaded 13th floor. That's where all the individuals who put together all of the various leadership administrative programs sit, and so thank you. Now, of course, none of our work would be possible without the support of our administrative staff, who work tirelessly behind the scenes. And I do know that they are the ones who keep us moving forward and are dedicated to continually improving the service they provide so that our faculty members can continue to deliver on our mission. You may be unnamed, but please know that you're seen and recognized. And thank you so much for all the work that you do for all of us. So it's said that no man is an island. In this case, I guess no department is an island. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank our friends and colleagues outside the department whose support and partnerships are invaluable. A few that I just want to call out, and especially thank for joining us tonight, are just, first of all, to start off with, the staff and the leadership team of the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry that I think are mostly gathered there. Thank you so much. And then we have leadership, and I know back there we have staff from Alberta Health Services, such an important partner for us, so thank you. And then, of course, the University Hospital Foundation. It's so lovely to be able to continue to work with you all, and thank you for all of your support. I also want to thank our colleagues and leaders from our sister departments, including Dr. Jane Schultz from Obstetrics and Gynecology. And then we have Dr. Sean Bagshaw and his team from Critical Care Medicine that are here. And my good friend, Dr. Dave Williams from Surgery, who was kind enough to join us tonight. And last but not least, Dr. Derek Emery from Radiology, who I know would have been here anyways, even if Elaine hadn't invited you. I personally feel so fortunate to have you all as friends, colleagues, and sounding boards as we navigate through various challenges together in our leadership roles, so thank you all. Finally, I want to take this opportunity to recognize the unwavering supports of the husbands, the wives, the partners, and our families at home. Some of you I've had a chance to meet, but I really want to make sure I get a chance to meet all of you tonight. These are the individuals who share in the sacrifices that our members make on a daily basis and allow us to be the best that we can possibly be at work. So thank you so much for sharing your partners and your families with us. On a personal note, I would be remiss if I didn't use this opportunity to thank my own husband, who's here supporting me tonight, and my lovely family, my 3 daughters and my son-in-law, who are buried back there somewhere, who've flown in from various places. Thanks, gang. I really appreciate it. So as we look to the years ahead, I really am filled with optimism when we watch some of these videos and excitement. Medicine is advancing at an unprecedented pace, and as you saw tonight from the snippets, we are poised to lead in defining the future of patient care, education, and discovery. I am confident that with our strong foundation, support from our partners, and the passion of our current members, we will continue to excel as we embark on our 2nd century. Before I close, I just need to make a special tribute to our leadership team, or to our internal engagement team. These individuals have put this whole day and night together, and when people keep coming and telling me what a great time you're having, I have to tell you, they're the ones that take all the credit, led by Miss Andrea Cliff, who I know has had many sleepless nights planning this event. Okay, could I just ask for a glass of water? So first of all, a reminder that this is not the end. We are asking folks to hang around, socialize, enjoy the rest of the evening, do some dancing. We've got this great band that is filled with familiar faces that I think you will all know. I got a chance to hear them early on, and yeah, they might be the house band, but they are really good. So please do take the opportunity to dance the night away. But for now, colleagues, family, friends, and guests, I invite you all to raise your glass in a toast to the past, the present, the future of the Department of Medicine. May we continue to grow, to innovate, to educate, and to inspire. Here's to the next 100 years. Thanks, everyone. Let's party on.
Oh, Dr. Kassom, that was such a great way to end the formal part of our program. And I did mention that we had a surprise for you. So she hinted that we are going to finish this evening with some music. But there's a bit more to it than that, some familiar faces. Most of these musicians, it's an 8-piece group, 5 of them are doctors within the Department of Medicine. And some of you may have heard them, and some of you may have not, because they got together in 2004 when 2 doctors started talking about their love of music, and they formed this group called Hardwired. So the doctors you are going to see tonight, there's now a large group of them. Among the doctors are Dr. Dylan Taylor, Dr. Wayne Timchak, Dr. Gabor Ganesh, Dr. Shane Kimber, and Dr. T.K. Lee, who, by the way, flew all the way in from Victoria to be here. And then we have 3 other non-members that we can't forget about: Larry Travis, John Willis, and James Simon. And you are going to get to see them play out their other passions tonight. So I hope you really enjoy the rest of the evening. I hope you have a good sense of how proud, you feel a good sense of pride in this department and in your part in it, and you feel like you're part of something really big. On that note, I'm Leslie McDonald, and I'm going to say good night. Thanks for coming, and please stay and enjoy the rest of the evening.